we struggle with creating the identity of just us the person, not us the hat, not us the label, just who are you as a human being. I think the conversation really is about how wearing all of the different hats in our life and the labels that are put on us create an identity for us, and how sometimes for some people it becomes really difficult to shake that identity. They become the easiest one I can think of is being a mother, right? So, I mean, once a mother, always a mother till the day you die, obviously. But I mean, there are some people who are like, that's what I am. I'm a mom. That's it. That's all I do. And that's a terrible thing to say, because doing that is everything, really.
Right.
But no, seriously, it is like, bringing up a little human being is like probably the most important thing you'll ever do in your life. And the responsibilities that go with that. But we have that hat, and then all of a sudden the kids move out, and it's like, oh, what am I now? Because I'm not physically taking care of them, right? I'm not physically in their presence, doing things for them, making decisions for them, all of those things. So this is true for all sorts of things. I'm a career person. Then I retire. Now what am I? This is what I used to do. What do I do now? It's like, who am I? I've been this for so long. Who am I now? I'm a wife, or I have a partner, and then my partner is no longer in my life. Now what? What am I now? Right? And we create all of these identities and hats for ourselves. And I think what happens is when life changes, as it's going to, and things happen to us as it's going to, we struggle with creating the identity of just us the person, not us the hat, not us the label, just who are you as a human being.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. I was just thinking about stories I've read, and this has happened to me. It happened to me just a few years ago. When we meet somebody new, we always say, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like their identity is wrapped around what career they are.
Yeah.
And I was with somebody, and we had gone to a friend's house, an older gentleman, let me just put it that way, in his 80s. And he knew I wasn't working at the time. And he came over and he said, so were you a teacher or a nurse? And I kind of said, neither. I sold tow truck supplies to tow truck drivers. And he was, oh, and turned and walked away from me, because my identity should have been I was a nurse or a teacher. That was, it is. And so sometimes we have these, when we meet, and I'm guilty of it too. Like I'm not saying I don't do this, but I try to be more cognizant of it. We always say, so what do you do? Like, what do we have in common? Like, what can we talk about? And I've always wondered how to change that. What do you do? Unless it's like, so, maybe it's just Tracy, tell me something about yourself. Maybe that's how, instead of putting, because how you greet somebody also puts that label on that person.
Yeah, exactly. I have a friend actually who, when they are asked what is it that they do, he talks about his hobbies. He never says his hobbies. He just starts talking about his hobbies. He doesn't say, I'm a lawyer. He just comes out and says, oh, I love sailing and I'm into fishing, and what do you do? Yeah. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. It's the dynamic of that conversation is completely changed, right?
I love that.
I know. And it's like, that is really who it is that we are.
Right. Exactly.
That's such an interesting thing that we identify with whatever career it is that we have chosen, or whatever it is that we do. Oh, this is what I am.
Mhm. And I
Or,
think the mom thing too is that where we just put ourselves so, which we, you know, I'm not mom bashing, I'm a mom,
no,
but we put so much energy in that we go, that must be who we are. We are little Johnny's, you know, parent, mom, and not going, oh, I'm Tracy that has children. I do it, you flip it the other way. It's the mom part first.
yeah. I remember one day my son had said something about his wife, and he's like, well, she's my wife. And the way he put it, he had it as that was her identity.
Mm.
And I said, no, that's her role. That's a role. That's a hat she wears. That's not who she is. You're lucky that that's a role she has chosen to take,
Right.
but that's not who she is as a person, you know? But I think we get, because we spend so much of our time is either in our career or raising our children or being a wife or being a partner or doing all the things we're supposed to do. It's very easy for the identity piece to get totally lost.
Mm-hmm.
And in somebody in my case, where I was in a relationship that I got so engulfed in because of the control, that my identity, even though I wasn't, my children were out of the home and we were in a different state, was totally lost because I took on the identity of pleasing that person. So then when I left the relationship, that was a whole new learning for me. Like, I really had to learn who Michelle was.
Right.
But,
so how are we learning that at a younger age?
right. So yeah, how do we, like, I think it's really hard because I really had to go through a metamorphosis of it. Like, the person you see in front of you right now isn't the same person from like 9 years ago. It was this whole evolution of change. And I think that it's like, especially when you're a young mother, it's really hard because you have that baby attached to you. And so I don't know if I think you really need to be cognizant of understanding of getting help and support while being in those different roles, so you can go out and have friends, go to the library, go daydream, go sit on the beach and daydream. Just try to make sure you always connect to who that soul is, who that person is inside, where your passion is.
But you are being taught to be
Right.
strong, not ask for help.
Mhm.
And so that goes all against what you're taught. And our age group, what you did is you went to school and then somehow there was a boyfriend. Next thing you know, I went against the grain and didn't get married right away and all this stuff. And so when do you find out who you are? If, like, in high school, that you're never going to find out who you are in high school, because that's just so, like, I just feel anytime I see anyone going through high school, I just go, oh, you poor kid. But when do you find out who you are if you're attaching yourself to everyone else?
And I think there is an awesome learning opportunity here, I think, for us to ask our children to say, who are you? And don't tell me what you do.
Yeah.
And don't tell me a role that you play. You're a husband, a wife, or whatever. Tell me who you are.
Yeah.
And I think most of our children, I think, would have a hard time coming up with an answer to that question. I know if somebody had asked me that, if somebody was to ask me that now, I'd probably have a hard time coming up with an answer.
Yeah.
I know, I just wrote that question down.
It's like, really.
I'm gonna go think about that later.
Yeah, because I think we should. I think it's always going to be changing, right? Depending on where you are in the evolution of your life and self-growth. That definition of who you are is always going to be changing. But I think it would be so important to be able to turn around to our kids and say, tell me who you are. Who do you think you are? Right? Not that I'm this corporate person, or not that I'm a student, not that I'm a brand new mom, or, that I'm a race director. I'm a, I'm a
Mhm.
race coach, or any of that kind of stuff. Tell me who you are as a person. I know that's going to be a question I'm going to actually sit and ponder for myself, to say, okay, if I had to say a sentence about who I am without saying I'm a life coach, I'm a mother, I'm a wife,
Right.
I'm a sister, I'm, a daughter, all of those
Yep.
things, right? Who am I?
Yeah. So if I was to meet you for the first time and I'm like, so Tracy, who are you?
See,
Like,
right
how would
now,
you?
I would, right now, to answer that, I would say to you, I'm a life coach. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Tracy. I'm a life coach.
And we go back
Because that's what
to
I do.
exactly, that's who you are. And so I think this is really, there is no magic pill, magic answer to this question. But I do think that both of you brought up excellent points, Tracy G, about, how we've been brought up, like we were brought up to do everything and to be strong and to be that mom and to do whatever. We also, Tracy, it's evolution. It's constantly changing. I don't think I'm the same. I don't think I have the same identity as I did even last year to who I am now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but do you have the same values that you did 20 years ago?
No. I could answer that very quickly. No,
No.
because of the relationship I was in 20 years ago.
Hmm.
For me,
Mhm.
because I was not in a healthy relationship. So I was more of I had severe anxiety. Was very people pleaser. I was trying to make ends meet. So the whole dynamic of what I was living through, if you asked me what my values were, it was nothing like what it is now. My values would have been more on the people pleasing side, taking care of people, that aspect, to where now my values are more centered into me as a person than the external. It's more internal because of the situation I was in.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think our values hierarchy changes, not necessarily our deep values. I think our deep values are more constant, but where they take their rank of priority will change
Mhm.
throughout our course of our life, right? Because, while family is a very important value, that family value is very important to me, it was much more important. I can't actually say that, that's wrong. Career though, that the value of, that of having that independence. Well, I can't say that either because that's pretty important too.
Yeah, but I think,
Yeah, well, there you go.
but I think
Forget what I said.
You still can say family has a different hierarchy because you have a different dynamic now within your family.
Yes,
You're
I
not no
definitely do.
longer
Yes.
taking care of your daughter. I mean, I know
Yeah.
you have your grandson and that whole
Yeah.
aspect of things.
Yeah.
But I think that within the hierarchy of where you are in your life with your family can change
Yes,
some of
definitely.
that dynamic.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, because
So,
obviously as a new mom, your priorities as a new mom are much different than somebody who's in their 30s and you're still the mom of that person, right? It's like there's a total
Right.
different dynamic there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm thinking more of, so you have this inner value guidance that you go through. Like, overall, you're an honest person.
Right.
Overall, you want to maybe serve other people, or maybe you don't, maybe this value. And I'm just going like, so what I'm hearing, though, your value, certain things have changed for you, Michelle, your value of making a person better is just changed on now you've directed it toward yourself, but you still have that, I'm here to support. I'm here to support. It happens to be in a not so great relationship and all that stuff, but I'm here to support because that's what I bring to the table. And that's what I feel Michelle's really, that's what I'm about. I'm support you. I'm there for you. And then one day you went, holy crap, maybe I should support myself.
Well, and you bring up a really good, yes. And now,
has it changed in your lifetime, or is it really those core things about you? That's all I'm asking. That's what I'm trying to find out. Is do they really change, or could you look back when you were 10 years old and have some certain core values that just have stuck with you?
So let's just take, I'm a very nurturing person overall, very nurturing in it. And that's probably why I'm in the business that I am, to help others.
Right.
But you're right in what you say. What I've learned in that nurturing is there is codependency nurturing, and there is nurturing in a healthy way to set the proper boundaries. So yes, so I know now, I understand because I look back at, I'm not that person who I was from 20 years ago. And it's not just the evolution of time, it was the whole me understanding where I was and what type of a relationship I was in, and how I had to heal and learn how to be a different person, not a person, I use different person, but how I had to learn to be Michelle. So I took that let's take nurturing, and I'm still a nurturing person. I am, but I can very easily set a very healthy boundary with somebody. I can set I can have a very healthy relationships with people and still be able to speak my voice and love in a way that I'm not giving my soul away.
Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, giving my soul away. Eeks. That's a conversation right there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole nother.
Oh, that just gave me a little chills.
Well, yeah. But yeah. So I think, yes, I think now I understand what you're saying. So yes, I do still have the certain core values within myself that is my makeup, but you just learn to, like Tracy was saying, they evolve. You learn how to redefine them. You redefined it. Family is still an important part of it, but my life doesn't have to revolve around my family. My children are grown. But yeah, if my children needed me, we're there for each other. But they're not every waking moment of my day any longer.
Right.
I don't have to have a conversation with my sons every single day. I don't have to know what's going on in their lives every single day. I don't need to know what decisions they're making. I don't want to. They're in their 30s. I shouldn't be knowing all of that stuff. They're their own persons. But that took time after my, when I was going through my whole transition, I clung on to them because that was my lifeline at that point. So that took time to release that also. But now I still, family, like, Tracy was saying, family's still important.
Yes.
But it's just a different importance.
I just think it's a great question to ask all of ourselves who you are and not attach a hat to it.
But what advice could we give to someone younger how do we help them steer through that? What, and never to go back and go, I would have done this differently, but what could we say to someone to say, hey, this is how, just keep more of you. Like, I have 2 daughters, so this is my therapy session here. I'm trying to figure out, girls, don't get lost, because don't get lost in other people or other people's stuff. I want you to really be grounded.
That's it. Yeah, you just answered your own question, I think, is to actually just have that conversation to say, there are, you will have different roles in your life, but you as a person, you need to be able to identify who you are as a person. Who am I? I'm a person that is loving, kind, generous. I, take care of people. It's what I like to do. And it's not like, it's not about, oh, this is, the career, this is what I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, right? Because the moment anybody says whatever it is that they do, there's judgment attached to that, right? It's like,
Right.
somebody says I'm a lawyer, there is, there tends to be, certainly from my generation, it's like, ooh, that means that you've done a lot of schooling and you've put a lot of time into your career, and like, wow, that's something that we all would tend to look at and revere. And that's not necessarily a good thing either, right? All that time and all that energy that goes into a career. I mean, if that's what you want to do, great, but it's not necessarily the badge of honor that I used to grow up with that. It's like the harder you work, the more time you put in, the better you were, the better person you were for doing it. It's like, okay, that's not true.
Yeah, we all know that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want women who have made the choice to I'm going to remove that word, to be a stay-at-home mom feel inferior. Because sometimes I think that happens because you have other people that are juggling all of this stuff, and they're probably not juggling it very well. It just looks like that. And then you have these women who are at home running. I always used to tell both my boys that their partners are actually the CEO of their home. They are running that home no different than you are going off to work. There is no difference in what they're doing. And I think sometimes when a woman is asked, what do you do? I'm just a stay-at-home mom. Well, there is no just a stay-at-home mom.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you as a person? And I think because they are a stay-at-home mom, they might get lost in, I'm a nobody because I just stay at home. Well, no, you're a CEO of that address, of that building, of the people in that house. It's just as important as somebody with a career.
Right, but that's society too, right? We all
Yeah.
have to just appreciate everyone's choices and go from there. This is your choice, and celebrate it, embrace it, move on, and not like, women can get pretty catty about all that crap. And if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're kind of there's this thing against working moms and working moms against stay-at-home moms. At least that used to be when my kids were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a little bit of, who's doing the right thing, and everyone's doing the right thing as long as you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's also stay-at-home dads too. I mean, it's not just women, right? There's a lot of men that are at home, bringing up the kids, and mom's out doing the career scenario.
Especially after what's happened the last couple of years. Absolutely.
My osteopath that is her exact situation. I remember, we were just chatting and doing that, what does so-and-so do, right? What does your husband do, right? And I said, what does your husband do? She said, oh, he's the stay-at-home dad. And I remember thinking to myself, well, that's so interesting. Like that, I found it completely fascinating that was his choice. I thought that is really cool. Like, apparently he owned his own construction company at one point, but it's like, he decided that no, he wanted to be the stay-at-home dad, and she has an osteopathic business, and that's what she
I have
does.
a girlfriend, the exact same thing.
But again, though, we're off into that, oh, this is what she does. This is what it's like, that's not who you are. That's what you do. That's how you earn a living. That's what your job is. That's what you're, and yes, I mean, ultimately we all spend a lot of times in our jobs. So hopefully everybody's picking something that they really want to do. But I mean, it's not who you are, it's just a portion of what it is that makes up that whole individual.
Yes.
And It's the whole, not just the part that's important.
You are not defined by what you do.
Yeah.
No, because I know some people that have awesome careers that I really want to spend any time with. And I know some other people that are, might not have that big career that I will break bread with them at any time, just because of the person they are.
Mhm. Yeah.
Don't judge
Yeah.
everyone's choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not at
And
all.
you know what? And you know what's also really interesting is that I know we talked about grief in another episode, but when if you look at obituaries, they don't talk about what that person did. They talk about who the person was.
Yeah.
So why don't we
Yep.
do that when you're alive, right? This is who I am.
Oh,
Instead of
excellent point. Excellent point.
Yeah.
And that's could be, I know it's morbid, but we want to ask our children who you are. What if we sat down and wrote our own obituary? What do we want that to say
Yeah.
about
Exactly.
who we are?
Mm.
Yeah. But it's about death, so we wouldn't, you know what I
No.
mean? Like right away you go, oh, but it is. It's like, what do I want to be remembered as? Who
Yep.
was Tracy Gurney? Oh, she was this. She was this. Oh, she was a witch.
In the best of sense, though, in the best of sense.
Yeah.
You could conjure spells all day long.
Write that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and here's the other thing. Write your obituary as to what you want people to say, and then ask yourself, is that really who I am?
Yes.
What am I not living up to in
Yeah.
these statements?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And you should, for the younger version, you should revisit every couple of years, just revisit it and look at it and see if you're still and what wants to change. And are you like on that path? Because you wake up every single morning and you can change who you are and how you're living your life every single day.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.